Thank you, Gwen, and good morning, dear audience and fellow investors and explorers. I'm very pleased to introduce Sanu today. My name is Martin Pawlitschek. I'm the CEO and one of the co-founders. We listed the company in July last year, and this is an introduction for you. As usual, a disclaimer: we're an exploration and mining space company, so there's forward-looking statements in there. And this is where we're located. So West Africa is the West African countries are shown in the brown color here, and we have our assets here in Guinea in the orange color there. Interesting statistic here. It's one of the major mining. It's the number one gold mining region in the world, actually, and collectively these countries here produce over 500 tons per annum. And if you look at it in terms of endowment per million square kilometers, it ranks way ahead of the other countries like China, Russia, Australia. So a very significant and emerging global gold province. And compared to the other regions on the list, they're quite immature in terms of exploration. Guinea is a top 20 global producer of gold, and number 3 in bauxite, has some world-class bauxite reserves, and also a significant diamond producer. Mining is very important for the country. Over 18% of the GDP are related to mining, and 75% of its exports. One other thing I really like to point out, usually about West Africa in general and Guinea in particular, on a global scale, the red tape in terms of conducting exploration and development work in the mining space, it is very, very manageable. I've worked in many other jurisdictions. You can often spend 6 to 12 months permitting just a round of drilling. Here it is much, much lighter. You can pretty much get on the ground as you have your exploration permits. And, excuse me. So this is a zoom in on West Africa. Whoops. So West Africa and Guinea in grey here. Just pointing out the scale here. See the grey and dark circles are big gold mines that range from 1.5 to 5 million tons. And then the red circles are the gold mines that are in the 5 to 10 million ounce range. And then there's some monsters here greater than 10 million ounces up here in the region of Mali and Senegal. And we have similar geology here in the Siguiri Basin. Broadly, the geology is quite similar in most of the West African gold provinces in that it consists of Birimian greenstone belts. So we have the same here in the Siguiri Basin. There's some significant long-running mines. Nordgold have operated that asset there for well over 20 years, and it still has an endowment. It still has over 5 million ounces of resources, and they're basically replacing the reserves annually on an annual basis quite easily. The Siguiri mine here, operated by Anglo, has been running over 20 years as well, well over 200,000 annual production. And again, replacing the reserve space without any difficulties. So another new project to point out, and this speaks to the latent discovery potential here. The junior space has really only recently entered into Guinea, and one of them has been very successful, an Australian company, PDI, Predictive, with a 4.5 million ounce gold discovery there in 2020. Their market cap reacted accordingly from around 4 million pre-discovery to well over 400 million Australian dollars market cap currently. And our 3 projects are located here: Bantabai, Daina, and Digifara. So we're right in the thick of the prospective belt. We have a board that's quite experienced in West Africa and exploration in general, well over 50 years collective experience. My background, I'm a geologist. I started off in Australia in the gold space. and then worked in West Africa or across Africa for the last 20 years, 23 years almost. And I was involved in one significant gold project. That is one of the yellow circles on the previous map, Sabodala Gold. I arrived in Senegal and was based there for 5-6 years in 2007. We drilled out the deposit, put it into production, and I think we opened it up with 3 million ounce resource base. It's currently an asset that has well over 10 million ounces, and was last year sold to Endeavour Mining. On the ESG side, we're an early stage explorer, so our ESG efforts mainly consist of having a good relationship with the local communities. We make sure that we speak with the local groups before we do any work. Our on-the-ground team is 100% West African and over 90% Guinean. And our local procurement and hiring is as much local as possible. And we'll be looking to increase that as the projects grow. This is a map of the Sigiri Basin. You can see in the grey colour, the ground is very tightly held, so it's not that easy to establish a land position. We are located here at Bantabai. Our work, which has consisted of very systematic surface geochemical sampling, and then follow-up drilling with auger. We've outlined over 10 targets here that we need to follow up with drill testing, with over 9 kilometers of cumulative strike length of mineralized structure that needs to be drill tested. No drill testing has ever been done out there. And then we have Bantabai over here, strategically located between the green block, which is Endeavour, who are actively working the ground, and between the other block on the eastern side, Anglo, who have a project here that is going into feasibility currently. Our maiden drilling was done last year, shortly after we listed at Daina, and we have Anglo Gold as the neighbour to the south. And on both of these properties, we have very significant strike length of gold defined from auger drilling in the bedrock, basically ready for gold for RC drill testing. If we go to the next slide here, our general approach to exploration is very similar to most of the operators in the region. Surface geochemistry to define very big gold trends along strike, and these are then followed up with auger drilling to focus in on where the gold is coming from in the bedrock, basically, because there's very extensive overburden of laterite, which inhibits finding the outcrops. And we've done that very systematically across all 3 permits, and followed up all the big anomalies to date, and basically lined up a very large number of very extensive anomalies that we need to now drill test. So that approach is the same that some of the other successful explorers have used in the past and continue to use. So this was the discovery that we announced last year, basically on our Daina property, the property over in the eastern side. You can see in orange here, these are the gold surface anomalies that trend from between 1.5 kilometers in strike length to 8-9 kilometers in strike length. They're very well defined, very consistently high tenor surface gold responses. We then followed up with shallow auger drilling to delineate where the gold is coming from in the bedrock. These are the purple areas, so that gives you better resolution, and you can directly focus in on your drill targets with RC or diamond on these purple trends, basically. The first round of drilling last year was done up here at Daina 2, and we got some very nice drill hits there, 4.7 over 21, 5.4 over 15, and then a very wide one here, just under 2 grams of just short of 40 meters. So this trend here is wide open, a long trend, and down dip. We've really only tested a 300 meter strike length in the middle here. So plenty of follow-up drilling to come. And the program that we've mapped out for this year is 25,000 meters of RC drilling. So that's well over 200 drill holes. We're focusing in on shallow near-surface oxide resources. The attractive nature of the gold in West Africa is that there's a very deep profile of oxidation, of weathering, often down to 70, 80 meters. So that makes for very good mining economics. And most of our drilling will be correspondingly quite shallow, so probably an average depth of 120 meters vertically. So a total of 10,000 meters on these 2 properties, and then a 5,000 meter program at Digifara. The work last year has shown that the approach works, that the ground is very prospective. So with the first program, we made a discovery, and it'll need to be followed up. our share structure is very tight still. And we've completed a 3 million financing just that we announced this week. So that'll fund a large part of this program. And two of the properties never tested. The other property, we did the first drilling program, plenty of follow-up to do. So we expect to have lots of interesting news flow coming out over the next 6 to 9 months. Thank you very much.